Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CTS Sunday interview. I'm your host, Jacquelyn Phillips, the hostess with the mostest. Joining me today is Anthony the Archer Porter. You can find him on American Ninja Warrior season 13. His episode is actually airing this September 6th on NBC. Check it out. Anthony, thanks for joining us today.
Jacquelyn, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I'm pretty excited to talk about some pretty fun stuff today.
Absolutely. So, going through your bio, I did a little bit of homework. You are an archery teacher, young man here in California. What made you decide to do American Ninja Warrior? I mean, besides the fact that you have stellar abs.
That's the qualification for being on the show, is the abs. No,
it just keeps me watching. That's what it's about.
I guess that's true, huh? I guess starting off, I did a lot of pole vaulting and rock climbing in college and then in high school. And it was one of those things where I just started to have all of these skills come to a point where I was really good at climbing trees, and I was getting like I was winning at rock climbing championships, and I was getting really into pole vaulting. I was a captain of my pole vault team in high school. So it's all these things just combined together. And someone's like, dude, you should do that show that celebrates exactly what you do. I'm like, really? I'm like, all right. So I tried it out, and that was in 2019, I think, season 11. And if you guys ever watch that season, there's a guy that keeps falling on his back that they show 4 times. And that's me. I fell terribly in the first time I tried it, but just got to keep trying. And now I'm back for season 13, and I'm about to be in the Vegas finals.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
With these kind of reality TV shows, not only do you have to have a particular skill set, but you have to have personality. So you are the archer, being the Robin Hood of American Ninja Warrior. How do you feel that archery has helped you?
Yeah, archery is it's an intense sport because there's 2 ways of kind of doing it. I think that there's the archers that sit in the tree stands, or those chairs you could put up in trees and you can hunt. And those guys can be 400 pounds. I mean, you could be whatever kind of physique you want and shoot down. I like to just carry my bow around when I'm hiking, whenever it's legal, of course. But I love jogging, running. I mean, as soon as I saw the TV show Arrow, where the dude literally just does what I do all the time, and then he does it on TV, that kind of got me jealous. So I think it's more just, it's something that gets me outside. It's something that gets me outside and moving around, getting a sport that gets you outside after you finish work or after you get home with your kids and stuff. And instead of sitting on your phone or sitting watching Netflix for a bit, which is awesome. Don't knock that. It's great. Getting outside and just doing something that just makes you more you. I think that's the key to doing it. And that's what archery is for me.
How did you find archery as your niche?
I didn't even think it was a niche. I thought that everyone grew up doing it at camps and stuff. And I mean, a fair amount of people do. But I always assumed, I'm the person that if I watch season 1, I have to finish season 8. I'm not a dabbler. So when it came to someone just giving me one of their old bows in their garage when I was 12, I wasn't going to dabble in archery. I was going to be archery. So it just went from me taking those a little American flag dowel rods from the front of people's lawns that were planted and making them into arrows, which is super non-patriotic, but I mean, I was 12, so knock me then. But it was just something that I created from the ground up for myself. And it became something that I really identified with.
That's awesome. So I've watched American Ninja Warrior, and these guys are in insane fitness, form, and their training, and it looks exhausting. Is it really as exhausting as it seems? Are you constantly training?
That's hard to say. A lot of these guys have 9-to-5 jobs. They're regular folks. So I think a lot of them train at night. I'm training tonight starting at 9:30 because I have to finish my master's degree class, but I'm training at 9:30 to 11 tonight. Most people train around that time. So these guys, it doesn't encompass their life, but I think if you see them in an elevator and you're like, hey, who are you? They'll start off with, I'm an American Ninja Warrior. That's my main vocation because it's a dedication. These people, I mean, it's not about just working out. It's diet, people you hang out with, networking, but different strokes, different folks. It depends on how you're a ninja, but you can all ninja differently.
I'd like to think that everybody has that potential to do ninja, so to speak. because it is a television show and there has to be some sort of entertainment factor, how do you stand out? How do you become a ninja?
Yeah. Do you? I mean, just emphasize on who you are. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm a dork with a bow, and that got me on TV. So, I mean, not that I'm a role model for that at all, but like, I just kind of used what I had and went with it. And the key is, I learned this like a long time ago, is what if you want to do something, you have to put your whole weight into it. If like I walk into a place that like I'm teaching education at, like outdoor education, where I've been doing that for the past 6 years. I don't go in there with my education mindset. I come in there with my entire self. So if they want to do an archery camp, I can do that. If they want to teach an outdoor survival camp, I can do that. If they want to do a music camp, I could teach that. So I just kind of shift my whole weight onto each thing. And I completely forgot what the question was, but I found that was a pretty good philosophy for myself to live by.
I'm willing to go with philosophy because I think being able to identify where it is that you excel and how to promote that is really what gives you success in the long run.
Perfect.
That's why CTS keeps me. I'm the eloquent one that smooths out all the wording.
Perfect.
But no, basically, how do you stand out? You're saying that you put your whole self into it, but you are Anthony the archer. Do you have a character? Is this character something that you really just kind of drag up when it's time to be a ninja warrior? Or is this something that's just who you are, that's who you've always been, and that's just what you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's who I've always been. And the Ninja Warrior thing is just like what I said, is it's everything. Like when they hopefully eventually when they show my backstory on the show, I'm a nature boy that does arrow shooting, that teaches kids, that is athletic and wants to run around in the forest. So I think that was my pitch to them. Now people, they use backstory of, hey, I came from a pretty adverse environment growing up. Like you can use that. You can use the struggles you're in now. If you teach kids, if you have this dynamic part to you, if you have green hair, they make that a thing, It's just, I mean, don't try to create a gimmick out of nothing. Make it anchored in something. But I would say, I mean, like my really good buddy that does Ninja Warrior is Jonah Bonner, and he's the gondolier ninja. So if you see a dude with a gondola hat, that's him. And he did it kind of part-time on the side. But now since he told Ninja Warrior that he does that, people from all around the world that do gondoliering look to him because he's kind of like the only person that's been on TV for that stuff. So it really, they do emphasize the part of you that you want to bring to the table. And it doesn't have to be your entire identity like it is kind of for me, but it could be something as small as a gondola hat or green hair or just the environment that you grew up with.
So production is looking for something that sells you.
Yeah, you could be a super amazing athlete. I know people that are 4 times better than me at this, but they just don't get on the show because of whatever. Maybe they just don't have a good backstory, but they have smaller leagues all around the country. If you guys are interested in trying it out, that are not on the show, that I think are worth checking out.
So if someone wanted to find one of these smaller groups, how do you do that?
Look at the websites. There's a National Ninja League. .com. There's UNX, and honestly, any parkour gym, like free running gym, Ninja Warrior gym, gymnastics gym, they honestly all have classes now for Ninja Warrior since it's become so big. So even after the show's long gone, this is going to be a sport. I'm pretty confident in that.
It's like parkour, but a little less deadly.
Ah, man. Good. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, parkour, the thing they teach you first in parkour, because I of course, I used to teach that, is first thing they teach you is not how to do it, but how to fall or how to land right. So before they teach you like how to jump like across 3 different concrete panels, they'll tell you, oh, this is how you roll out of it,
Well, yeah, the fall is what injures you, not how you fall.
Yeah.
So what does the typical day for an American Ninja Warrior look like?
I would say it's pretty normal, except for dieting and morning routine and night routine. So most, like I said, 95% of the people that do the show aren't constantly doing Ninja Warrior. A lot of them are coaches for doing this stuff, but especially the teenagers. I mean, they grew up with the show. They're 16 years old. The show is 13 years old. I mean, that's could have been their first words were Ninja Warrior, not that I had my first word at 4, but it's more like you have a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5 nowadays. And then after that, you kind of like dawn on the nightcap and then you go out in the night and train with all these folks. So I don't know. For me personally, dieting super strictly is not part of my routine, because the minute you set strict parameters for yourself that are unwavering, that's the minute you start to hate it. So maybe like a 90-10 split of like, yeah, I'll eat some trash on Friday or I'll eat some trash on Thursday, but I'll have a protein shake, maybe some eggs and a Chipotle burrito sometimes if I feel lucky. But yeah, it just is a whole lot like everybody else, except probably trying to sit down not as much as most people do.
So what is something that happens behind the scenes that we're not privy to? The show is pretty formulaic. They give us a backstory. We get to see clips of people during their course run. What aren't we seeing?
You're not seeing the people behind the stage, all of the production people that are running around like headless chickens, trying to keep 150 protein hungry personalities from tearing apart the set. Well, not really. We're not crazy, but it's just, there's a lot of demands, especially a lot of these people. I mean, they come from all around the country. They all have different requests and stuff. So, there's like a snack table and stuff, which is kind of cool, but a lot of the time it's just cold. We film this at 3 a.m. sometimes because we want to get all of these people on film at nighttime. So you start at 8:30, we end maybe at 4. The last person my buddy Tage was on in Vegas, the sun was coming up on his run and they're like, go, hurry up. Because they wanted to get it before the sun ruined the effects of the light. So it's filmed middle of the night, rain or shine. If it's raining, which it has for the past like 3 years, it still goes. They just wipe it off. Sometimes I don't know. I wouldn't say it's unfair, but sometimes it's wet and sometimes it's not for folks. So you got to take that as you will. The athletes all pretty much get the exact same course. And then, the production of the people in the stands is exhausting. I would not want to be a person in the stands because you wait, and then they go, all right, we're on, everybody clap. And you're like, you start clapping and then you stop and then you wait for someone to go, then you clap again. So I feel personally like the audience have a rough go of it because you have to be on cheering and then stop. And they're like, all right, we need an oh from the audience. And then they go, oh, it's funny. And then they patch it all together post-production. Not that they're not screaming and stuff during the episode, but just in case they needed extra footage. It's just so funny. They ask the funniest things from the audience.
I just can't imagine having to do that run at 3 a.m. or in the rain. Do you train for if it's raining? Do you hose down where you practice?
No. Most of these gyms are up inside. And if it is outside, you probably don't want to hose down like your really expensive equipment.
Now, in all fairness, we have a parkour park here in the Valley. I'm here in Phoenix.
Nice.
So if you ever want to come try it out when it's wet, you can always come down and visit us. How
wet is it in Phoenix, though? I went to Northern Arizona University. I taught parkour up in Flagstaff.
Okay. So, obviously we get weather. Right now, we've had monsoons for the first time in 2 years. It's been great. And now there's a threat of rain, but it's not likely going to happen. However, you build really great calluses because everything is hot to the touch here. So, you just practice with that. But we have our terrain races here. As someone who's into fitness, I don't know that American Ninja Warrior is for me. I am getting a little older, contrary to the Botox. But, is that something that is attainable when you're older? You're 24, you're a baby. I'm coming up on 40. Is that even something that's possible? Or do we have to have like a senior citizens league for those of us that are over 35?
So it's not senior citizens. It's called the Masters League. And it's after
there's a good PR spin.
Yeah. It's after a certain threshold, which is arbitrary because age doesn't matter.
Oh, you're so cute.
They do have, so the smaller leagues that go around the country, they do have Masters Leagues where, hey, if you're 50 plus, go in the 50 plus category. Heck yeah. I don't know the actual ages of it, but it's definitely worth a shot. A lot of these people that train with me, I would say the people that come to the gym, 1 out of 20 have been on the show. They just do it for fun. I mean, if you go to somewhere that's like a rock climbing gym, how many of those people are professional rock climbers on ESPN doing the Olympics? It's not very much. So most of these people, I mean, don't be intimidated by the people on the show. If you can't do a pull-up, you could still show up. It's a good, well, that's like a little catchphrase. If I had a gym, I would say that.
We're just building the character for next season.
Yeah, exactly. But you could be any age, any size, shape. I mean, it's for literally everybody. And you don't really know until you try. Pull-ups, I mean, that's a great thing to try out. Trying out finger strength, if you just want to find like a strong door frame just to hang from a little bit to see if your fingers are strong enough to hang from, then that's what I recommend doing before you go to the gym. But yeah, it's a very relaxed atmosphere. It's not like a football gym where like, not that there's like football gyms, but they're not like all intensely staring at you like weightlifting. It's a very friendly atmosphere. It's an individual sport. Go there, hang out with them. If anything, you'll get some super fun stories.
That's so contrary to what you think when you see it, because everybody's so intense and so driven. And then there's, the random oddball who, will wear a tutu or whatever. But it seems like it requires so much dedication. Yeah.
I mean, there's dedication, but you don't have to be like aggressive about the dedication. And at least in my philosophy, there's people, of course, that go on the show that I don't remember their names, but they cut them out, but they're slapped in the water. They're screaming after they fall. But I mean, most of the time people are just like, oh, well, the reason why it's intense on the show, imagine training 364 days. And then you have a 10-second window or like a 1 minute window to show what you've been doing for the past year. And it's sometimes just up to luck. Sometimes you just have a wrong foot placement. It happens to the best of us. And people my coach that I train with, Arnold Hernandez, he fell in the qualifying round and he didn't get to city finals, but that guy is substantially better than me, but he just happened to fall. So it's just, there's a lot riding on that one run.
So how do you handle that? How do you recover when you have that fall that you didn't plan for, you didn't anticipate, and then you're just done?
Realize that for me, it's great. It's like a win-win because you either got to the show, you met amazing people, you get to see an entire like set of how you do filming, you get to do B-rolls, you do interviews, you feel like a TV star for that day. And then, hey, if you fall, I mean, that's just like a bonus, like if you're on TV, but like you get to experience so much of like Hollywood, And then if you do well, you do well. It's like extra credit. So that's kind of my mindset. If you do poopy, then it's okay. I mean, you got to LA, and if you're an interesting person, they'll bring you back, especially if it's your first round, if it's your first time ever trying it. Like me, I fell on the second obstacle. They'll bring you back if you're, I don't know, dynamic enough and smile enough. But I would just say in doubt, just smile it out. That's another thing I'll say.
My good philosophy.
In doubt, smile it out. And then the first one is you don't have to do a pull-up to show up. I'm going to write these down. This will be like on my wall.
We'll have them as an archive for you. Perfect. So what's your favorite obstacle? And what's the one that when you see it, you're like, oh, really?
Somebody asked me this the other day. I think the hardest one for people that they really practice all the time, but it doesn't work out is the Salmon Ladder. And every other obstacle is you run and then you jump to something and you grab it, or you run and then you slide, or you run or you balance. The Salmon Ladder is the only thing where you have to repetitively do the same thing over and over to monotonous, like precise repetition with nerves and adrenaline. Maybe you're pumped out, maybe your arms are tired. So I think that's what gets a lot of people. That being said, I've never had a problem with it. I would say balance obstacles freak me the heck out. And it's just because those are more of a gamble than anything else. 9 times out of 10, if I have an option, a split decision between doing a balance obstacle and then doing like an arm obstacle, which I would just be way too pumped out for, like I couldn't even do a pull-up, I would still try that because I trust my arms way more than my feet, which is probably not smart. But that would be, so the hardest one would be balance obstacles. Easiest one, anything where I have to jump to grab a bar. I don't know. I just like feeling that like wind in your hair as you're swinging in the air. It's just, I don't know. It's like dessert for me. It's just perfect.
Awesome. I don't think I've ever compared any physical activity to dessert.
That's what athletes do when you can't have dessert.
You know, as you get older, you shouldn't eat dessert. So believe me, I understand that sacrifice.
Jeez. How long have you done paddleboarding for? And why are you in Phoenix?
I'm in Phoenix because I own 2 businesses here and my son goes to school here. I've been paddleboarding for 6 years now. Man. The Salt River is a great run. We actually have a lot of water here. So paddleboarding is great because it's good core. It's an all body workout. It's definitely arms. It's really relaxing. It's a little less stressful than, say, weight training or running. Plus, it's also just really hot here. So, you know, you run at night and it's still 100 degrees in the summer. Like it's going to be 100 tonight when I call it a night. It'll still be 100. It's brutal. It's like the worst kind of endurance training you'll ever do. But paddleboarding is great. And, you know, you don't have to have the ocean to do it. And I think that's one of the benefits of that sport.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a low barrier to entry. The only problem is that it's a little expensive, but that's what rentals are for. Good.
Well, that's pretty neat. I didn't know that. Yeah. As someone that went to NAU and Flagstaff, I thought people south of me were just all desert rat people. I did not like the heat. So I just stayed as north as possible.
That's fair. I mean, you still get warm weather. We had a pretty warm summer a couple summers ago. I think it was up in the 90s. And of course, most of Flagstaff doesn't have air conditioning, so it's kind of rough.
That is rough. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was like 4 years ago, Phoenix had like the biggest flood in like 40 years and like all of the streets, just the infrastructure couldn't handle the amount of water.
I live about 4 miles from where that was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I heard that.
So it was our own Katrina or our own Ida, if you want to be more current. So you're doing an American Ninja Warrior, you're into archery, you're the kid, you're the lost boy. You run around in the wilderness. You're Peter Pan's lost boy.
Oh yeah.
Do you wear tights? I'm kidding. It was just funny.
If I fit into tights, then they looked good. If I could pull off, how about this? If I wear tights to a date one time, then I'll come back on the interview and say, yes, I wear tights and get away with it. But
pictures or it didn't happen.
Pictures or it didn't happen.
So how many times can you compete on American Ninja Warrior? Do they just eventually not invite you back, or do you just win and they're like, okay, we can't spend any more money on you?
It is up to the powers that be. I would say the further you go, the bigger chance you have. If you keep winning, they're going to keep bringing you back, I think is the way to go, because the show from season 1 versus season 13, I mean, season 1, anybody that I train with now could have done the entire thing. It's just, I mean, they keep getting harder and harder and harder and harder, and they add different things. They have several engineers dedicated just to making harder stuff than last year. So it's, as much as it's a fun obstacle course, it's grueling. I mean, if you're really good, they're not going to pass you up for consideration, but the powers that be, the casting producers, will not keep you on if you're consistently not doing awesome. If you have a great story that's not just like a one-off, then yeah, I would say there's no reason for them to not keep you up. Now, the thing is, you have to do a 2-minute submission video where you have to be like a dynamic, fun person. And
those are really stressful. It's like a dating stressful app.
It's exactly like a dating app. Not that I would know what that is.
Well, I'm not dating either, but I do casting and I'm trying to do other work. So yeah, it's like a dating app. You're putting yourself out there and going, no, really, I'm really cool. And it's like, this feels really lame.
Exactly. So they tell people, if you're submitting, don't show us your athleticism. That's second. We want to show who you are, what you do, why you believe you're the next American Ninja Warrior. So, I mean, it's very similar to like American Idol, but I mean, it's probably the same where like American Idol, you have that singing talent, but then you also have to couple it with, I almost flipped you off. I'm sorry. Couple it with.
You wouldn't be the first.
Oof. With an actual story, something that that grabs the attention, because most people that are watching the show aren't athletes. They're people that want to watch TV, so it's a bit different, but yeah, who knows?
It feels kind of like Road Rules or Real World, where you have to just be more than the thing that they're looking for. You have to have this story, that personality that really captivates them. What happens when you're done being an American Ninja Warrior?
I'm going to find that out soon. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the show's been going on for 13 seasons. I don't know when it's going to end. what are these people going to do when it ends? All these people that have Ninja Warrior gyms. I think it's going to keep going. But what happens after Ninja Warrior? A lot of my friends that do it use it as kind of a launch pad to get into other things. I mean, there's a Titan Games, there's Wipeout. I have friends that do all these other shows. My buddy Kyle Soderman is like one of the best world chase tag people like in the world right now. So there's so many other like things to go to. And by the way, check out World Chase Tag. They're crazy human beings. But there's different avenues. Some other folks go straight into like hosting and going into Hollywood, being like, whoa, the cameras are actually kind of cool. I should do this more. And I'm kind of in that realm. I would probably put my personality above my athleticism. But
well,
yeah,
The Bachelor keeps going and The Bachelorette keep going. So, I mean, those are always options.
Thank you. Wow. What a compliment. I don't think they go for guys that are under like 6 foot in that show. So I'm not going to reveal my height, but it's not 6 foot.
It would be nice to see someone that wasn't Braden, Caden, Hayden. I mean, somebody.
Right? Dex.
I mean, I don't even watch the show and the stereotypes, the tropes, they're so real. I would love to see more diversity, but I'd also like to see people with more substance. But that's just me being hopeful.
I think you're on board. I bet most people would say that about the show, but most people don't actually mean it. They just want to watch. They just want to consume the stuff.
That's what Hollywood is. It's consumption.
Yeah.
But what about for you? So, you just mentioned that, you do enjoy the camera.
Mm-hmm. What's next for me?
Yeah. What is next for you?
I don't know. So my ideal like TV show would be like me as like a Bill Nye / Point Break person where I would do science fun stuff. And then I'm like, all right, get on your rappelling gear. We're going to Peru. And then I'll just be like rappelling down a mountain and be like, that's a chinchilla. And I would like hold the chinchilla, be like, this is a crepuscular mammal. They're only alive or like around during twilight hours of the day. Check them out. But I think that would probably be the thing that would get me the most. I'm pretty passionate about the rainforest. So South America would be good. Like Indonesia, doing some kind of like guiding, instructional hosting stuff would be right up my alley. But,
so like Bear Grylls, but without drinking elephant dung.
Yeah, Bear Grylls has been done. So some dynamic version of like Bear Grylls meets, Bill Nye.
So to the people watching at home who watch American Ninja Warrior and they go, man, I want to be like that. I want to be like Anthony. How do you start?
Oh my God. I don't think everybody's ever told me that before. How do you start? Do something small in the beginning of the day that you can not even write down in your journal that you did that day, but do something that's small, that tweaks your day just a little bit. It's not about changing your lifestyle. It's about doing the same thing with a different perspective to a point where if you go to a hallway and you're like, whoa, I'm just like in a monotonous corridor walking down to an office at the end of the hallway that looks the same as all these other hallways. That's one way to look at it. Or you could be like, wow, this is a long hallway. I can do a lot of step lunges. Or I wonder like how far I could do a cartwheel. Maybe I could do a cartwheel next door. Like just small things to where it doesn't change the paradigms of your life. It's just the small steps that slowly change into who you want to be. And for me, I encourage that for people doing conservation work or people that want to get into it. It's not about immediately jumping onto a whaling ship and going and yelling at Japanese whalers. It's just deciding to not buy like sushi every single night. I love sushi, but not buying it every single night for sustainability reasons, or checking out where your food comes from. I mean, it's not, a lot of people are turned off by environmentalism because they think of the crazy people that they push in the news that, oh, these guys are the bad guys. But it's just do what you can. Do what you can. And if you don't, maybe feel a little bad about it, but don't get guilty on yourself because you are this blank slate in the world and you can do a lot of good or you can do a lot of bad. It's up to you. So I don't know. Soapbox down.
No, I think soapboxes are good, especially if you're vertically challenged. I'm only 5'4", so I need a soapbox. Anthony, I really appreciate your time today. When we're not watching you and cheering for you on NBC on September 6th, as you run your American Ninja Warrior course, how do we find you? How can we find where you're going in life and what you're working on?
Thanks. Yeah. So my Instagram is probably the most used thing by me. So Outdoor Anthony on Instagram. It's all one word, Outdoor Anthony. And then also put that into YouTube, and you can find a lot of my Ninja Warrior videos. You could find some of the science instruction that I was talking about earlier. I put them all up there just from the different sites that I've worked with. So they all just have been copied and then sneezed onto my site. So check that out. But Instagram at Outdoor Anthony is probably the way to find me, and message me. Say hi to me. I'll talk back to you.
We may take you up on that. We may have to bring you back. If you get a chance, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. I'm still fairly new to this, so I appreciate your feedback, positive, negative, or otherwise. If you get a chance, make sure to tune in on September 6th on NBC to see our friend Anthony Porter, Anthony the Archer, on American Ninja Warrior. Anthony, thank you so much, and you have yourself a great afternoon.
Jacquelyn, you are a champ. Thank you so much. You too.
Thanks.